Now, if you need to find your way out of some personal darkness or want a guide to edible mushrooms in your own backyard, our next storyteller is your man. He has recently retired from his all-consuming day job, and lucky for us, has offered his energy and commitment to our board, our staff, and our students. Please welcome Greg Marley.
It's been some hard acts to follow. Kaylee, your strength. Thank you. I tried tonight to bring the yin and the yang of where I am in the world. So my way began in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as the fourth child born in 3.5 years to a harried Catholic mom and a workaholic, alcoholic dad. Childhood was typical, somewhat chaotic, the rough and tumble of 5 kids in a way too small house. Our days were filled with hide and seek, capture the flag, kickball, and our own version of green apple fights in the backyard. Can you remember those days when you were shooed out of the house after chores and you played in the neighborhood until dinner and then back outside until dark? Wow, a very different time. As a young child, my mother said she was always a bit nervous cleaning out my pockets before doing laundry because of all the bugs and things she might discover there. Growing up in the desert, my companions were lizards, horned toads, ground squirrels, tarantulas, snakes, and she was really afraid of snakes. Cacti, rocks, petrified wood, fossils, crystals, they all found their way home, occasionally to my mom's dismay. Nature has always been my refuge, a way to find quiet from our chaotic home, a way to find balance from my adult work. Being in nature, it grounds me, it centers me. As the naturalist John Muir once said, "Into the forest I go, to lose my mind and find my soul." After moving to Maine 45 years ago, retreating into nature became the forest and a deep dive into mushrooms. Mushrooms play such a major role in my life, a source of fantastic, creative, tasty food, beneficial medicine for me and my family, a mental and spiritual exploration, and all that beyond the intellectual challenge of figuring them out. And underneath it all is their breathtaking beauty and the mystery of how their sudden appearance comes. It consumes me. So I'm a mushroomer. I'm an explorer, a forager, a guide and teacher, a writer and author of books, articles, and a consultant to the poison centers across northern New England. If you pick and eat the wrong mushroom, I'm the guy they call. Greg, what is this? And what's it going to cause? As a teacher, I take pride in my ability to translate this complex universe into relatively simple language for those people who are curious and seeking to understand. And after 50 years playing with mushrooms, I am constantly reminded how little I really know. Though at its core, mushrooming continues to be primarily a way into nature. So after moving to Maine, I needed to find a way to pay rent and buy cat food. In my 20s and 30s, I held a bunch of jobs, more than I have time even to list here. But suffice to say, almost every position in catering and restaurants, a field botanist, teaching in a range of settings, work on an offshore oil production platform, even a stint as an airport weather observer. Also in my late 20s, I entered into personal therapy. As I began to unravel the impact of my childhood on the adult that I was struggling to become. And by the way, I really look at some form of therapy as a valuable exercise in everyone's life. Yeah, everyone. I could ask for hands, but I won't. We used to tell our son Dash that our job as a parent, in part, was to screw up just enough so that he would need therapy as an adult. How'd we do, Dash? Okay. So my own therapy led into classes in psychology and then a master's degree in social work. And I worked for a number of years as a crisis clinician, meeting with people in those moments when their pain and sense of hopelessness brought them to two stark choices: to die or to change the way they play their life. Suicide may seem sometimes the only solution when you run out of alternatives, and that sense of hopelessness descends. Intervening with people who are suicidal led me to provide training in suicide prevention and also into responding after a loss. The sudden suicide death of our close friend in 2008 deepened that commitment that I have had to prevent suicide. It also underscored and informed the importance of supporting others after a suicide. My personal experience of loss both informs that approach, and it really keeps me humble. The landscape of traumatic loss was no longer foreign ground. You might say that I was accepted into a private club of lost survivors, a club that none of us would ever choose to join. Over time, my practice became providing training to prevent suicide and also support. And I worked with school staff, health and mental health clinicians, professional first responders, community members, anybody who had an interest in learning. And such training prepares those people to intervene and to be ready to save a life when they're facing someone in their darkest moments. And despite my losses, I really deeply believe that most suicides are preventable. And that prevention rests on all of us, all of you, all of us, not just the people with them gobbledygook letters after their names. Every one of us. And offering hope and connection in those moments is what saves lives. But the other part of that is learning to accept that, like my friend Paul, not everyone is open to hearing hope. And that's what hurts. So for me, changing gears, my family is an integral part of me finding my way. I married late at age 35 to a smart, passionate, and lovely woman. Valerie was the first woman I had been with where there were no questions, no doubts, all green lights. Some of that is the secret sauce that is Valerie. Some of it is timing. Therapy certainly also helped. And luck. The good fortune to find an engaged, compatible partner and to grow together. She's got my back, I've got hers. So 3 years after we married, we were gifted with our son Dash, a blessing I count every day. I deeply believe that for many men, becoming a father and embracing that role completes the process of what I call domestication. It's about accepting that life is not just about me, but about supporting and living for others. With Dash, I was giving the care of a precious and valuable being, and I was invited not to fuck it up. Being a dad is a role I hold close and dear. And of course, that's worlds different than saying I've done a perfect job at every step. So, as I stumble into my 7th decade, finding my way continues to be a work in progress. A life of service is essential in my life, to continue to be of service in my family and in my community. And most recently, that has included a dive into political activism and engaging in constructive resistance to to preserve the freedom we too often take for granted. Resistance is made up of ordinary people carrying homemade signs expressing their outrage and their hope. So I invite you, all of you, to join me and take action as we all find our way through this dark time in our democracy.